Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day number 124 for our update. Going to be a really large update tonight. Not too long. I'm getting to where I'm trying to make them more concise. And tonight, of course, we have Zhenya Matsutsa with us. And real time with me from Ukraine. We have a full night of updates, and I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump right to it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for jumping in from all over the country, all over the world, different countries. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for doing all that you do so that we can continue to get the truth out. But with that said, I just want to go ahead and roll in my man here. Jacob, welcome to the program tonight.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening would be good morning to you, good evening to us, and glad you're here and glad you're doing well. Been a huge day. Just a real quick question. You feeling better? You doing good?
Yeah, absolutely better. Today's
good.
A great day.
Good. Well, let's get to it, my friend, and I've got it right here. In 2 days, I'll be back in the studio. So last 2 days of remote stuff, I'm still in Carson City, Nevada, and I'm going well. But let's get right to it, Jacob. Today, G7 meeting. We know that these were meetings June 26, 27, and 28. And you've got Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, United States, and the United Kingdom. Big meeting, of course. When these things happen in the past, Russia has been striking targets, large targets. And I want to start with this. Of course, we will get to some of those targets that they've struck. But today, Boris Johnson and Trudeau came out and made a statement. And I want to share that first, and then we'll come back to it. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Et je m'appelle Justin Trudeau, je suis Premier ministre du Canada.
And we're here in the G7 in Germany, but there's one world leader who can't be here, sadly, and that's our friend and colleague Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, who's been leading his people in their heroic fight against the unprovoked aggression of Vladimir Putin.
And Zelensky's not just been standing up for Ukrainians as Ukrainians fight like heroes for their own land. They've been standing up for the principles and the values that bind us together as democracies, the rule of law, sovereignty, territorial integrity, des principes importants pour tout le monde dans le monde.
And so here at the G7, we're showing more support for Ukraine, another £500 million worth of loans guarantees, making sure we sanction more Russian oligarchs associated with Vladimir Putin, and also placing restrictions on Russian gold exports worth £13.5 billion.
Yeah, we're increasing sanctions, we're stepping up with financial support, economic support, and military support as well. Il faut s'assurer que les Ukrainiens continuent de se battre pour défendre nos valeurs, pour défendre leur pays.
And so our message to you, Volodymyr, and to the people of Ukraine is we salute your fight. We believe it's wholly legitimate and essential for our world. We support you, and we will stay the course. Slava Ukraine.
Heroyam Slava.
So, of course, Jacob, we're thankful for that. We're thankful for those words. These are the same words we've been hearing for 124 days, and you and I were discussing some things before going on camera tonight, and some scenarios and analysis that we're giving to the war in regard to refugees, in regard to maybe what Europe really wants. We're going to push that to tomorrow with some analysis and scenarios. But, you know, it's nice to hear. There's Boris Johnson, our friend. There's Trudeau saying the right words, talking about the support. But unfortunately, at the same time, terror is striking our cities.
Yes, and you know, especially when we see on our battlefield already first 4 system of HIMARS, we have 4. We got 4, waiting for next 4, and the other 4 from another country, but not HIMARS, but closed systems. And when we see how it's effective, how much change it could be in the beginning, let's say on the 3rd week, on the 4th week, how many lives it could save.
It's difficult. It's like I was talking last night on the update. You know, if we had weapons, we would still be holding Severodonetsk. We would still be holding Zolota, because it would have never gotten to the level it would have if Ukraine would have had the ability to strike and the supply of weapons. You know, it's just reality, and these nations are there talking and they're meeting, and it's day 124. And we're thankful. You know, we're very appreciative for Boris Johnson. We're very appreciative for Duda. We're very appreciative for the weapons that have been given, the money that's been given, the United States, you know. But the reality is we need much more, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Now.
We need it now.
We need it now.
We need it now. I'm going to make a statement and show you this statement here. You tell me your opinion on this, and I'll give you my opinion because you and I already know the truth. But Russia, in the news today, of course, defaulted on the debt.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I think the Russia's answer is there is no default. Not sure for Russia. And who has a right to evaluate Russia's economic system?
That was the exact answer given. And of course, in Western headlines today, whether it be in the United States or Europe, you see the big headlines. Russia defaults on its debt. First time in 100 years, et cetera, et cetera. And Russia sitting in the Kremlin, there's Putin going, we're not defaulting. We can't default while we're being sanctioned. He makes all these statements. So the question comes the same thing as with the missiles flying in Ukraine and the G7, they're doing their meetings in Germany. Missiles are flying. Innocent people are being killed every hour, basically. It's nonstop. Now, Putin just comes out and says, you know, the world, you guys can say we defaulted, but I'm telling you, we didn't default. Mm-hmm. It's nonstop madness, and this is how that Russia does warfare. Absolute chaos in what they want. So my question for you is this. Is the world going to stand up and validate the default debt? Is the world going to stand up and defend Ukraine?
I think the world should stand up the way that nobody in Russia would have any doubts about default.
Agreed 100%. Agreed 100%. And we'll see what comes of it. But, you know, if you're reading your news today and you probably rejoiced, but you come here each evening, 6 o'clock Pacific time where I'm at, and 9 p.m. Eastern and 4 a.m. in Ukraine. We've got all the time zones covered. The reality is there's completely differences of opinion of this, and we're going to see if the world will enforce it. Want to move on.
I don't hear sound.
Hey, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, sorry. Coming off of that, we've talked about the G7 for a moment. We've seen Boris Johnson supporting. We've talked about Russia saying that they have not defaulted on their debt, and the world is rejoicing that they did. But here's the facts: Italian companies are still working in Russia. American companies are still working in Russia. But today, data came out. That is the German flag. Only 4% of German companies have completely left Russia. 96% of companies and businesses that are working in Russia that are German are still there.
Yes, and it was publicly announced and stated. The president of Turkey, he said, we will not rise up the sanctions, economic sanctions, will not support against of Russia. First reason, its own economic interests. And the second, we are in a role of mediator in that situation, because everything in that situation goes through the Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey, of course, has made themselves basically gods in this situation, and we will talk about that in just a moment. As you know, with the wheat, and Turkey made some announcements today. But I don't want to give away tomorrow because we are planning something for tomorrow, and it's going to be super interesting. If you make sure you're here tomorrow night, guys, because we're going to give you tomorrow night 3 scenarios for the outcome of this war. It's Zhenya's analysis, my analysis. We're working together because there's too much goofiness going on while Ukraine is being melted. We let Turkey do what they want. We let Russia do what it wants. Italy, Germany, it doesn't matter. France, they're doing whatever they want. And while that's happening, and I'm sorry, Jacob, but Ukraine is being melted. Our civilians are being erased. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's going to be a very interesting update tomorrow. Let's move to the next one there.
I will add a small thing, and probably we will touch the statement which was made today. We will support Ukraine forever. Why forever? Okay.
Exactly.
Let's go. Let's go to Turkey.
Exactly. Turkey and Russia. Turkey came out today. We've been covering this since it happened. Turkey came out today, and as the deity, I call them Humpty Dumpty that sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall because Turkey's trying to ride the fence. We're with NATO. Right. Baloney. That's my opinion. Baloney. And we're with Russia. You even have stated that tonight. But Turkey comes out today with their sovereignty and their greatness, and they declare, world, don't worry about anything, because we know there's food issues right now, especially in Asian nations and African nations and very poor nations that depend on Ukrainian grain. But don't worry, in 3 to 4 weeks, the grain will be coming, and Russia and we, Turkey, will guarantee it. Right out of the gate today. No mention of Ukraine. No mention of anything about Ukraine. Turkey and Russia. So here's my statement to you, and you can respond. Turkey is just as guilty as Russia in this war in regard to the grain.
Okay, coming to the grain and all of these things, let's talk firstly about the closest, the places where this grain is in great need. Let's talk about people in Mariupol. Let's talk about people in Severodonetsk in next 2-3 weeks. Let's talk about Ukrainian occupied places where crazy prices, where not enough food, no social support, nothing. Why the world and Turkey is not presented there? They are not showing a reality there and bringing the food there and helping Ukrainians in occupation. Why not?
Brother, so folks,
there is somewhere 2 countries. Sorry.
listen.
Our country.
This is why people come here, and you need to share this video, because we're not just talking heads. I'm not some guy. I've been working there 25 years. This guy, Zhenya, he knows what he's talking about. Folks, listen to that analysis for a moment. It's hot in here tonight. Listen to that analysis. Turkey and Russia want to feed the world, but right now the Ukrainians are starving in the occupied territories. What about helping those? No, but we're going to go down to Somalia and make sure they have enough grain. Look how great we are, when right there in the nation that it produces the wheat, people are starving and do not have water to drink. You're spot on, bro. You're spot on.
People are being killed. People being killed. Yesterday, Lysychansk being killed right at the place they came to take some water because the car brought some water, transported the people there. And Russia, that moment, were killing people, artillery, shelling people, killing right there on the source of water for people. So no comments on that from Turkey, but they want to help take as far as possible this grain, because there is a plan of someone to have disaster in that territory, not just disease and and bacteria and viruses and all of that stuff, because of not enough water, food, medicine. No. Let's just stop on that. It's much more interesting to discuss that we got somewhere there information. There is people, and that this country is right now people are being killed, blocked, occupying, raping, and so it's the best time to take and steal the grain from them, because there is another place people are in need.
And you're already touching on some of the things that we're going to talk about tomorrow. There, folks, we're day 124. There's something goofy going on here, and it's a tragedy. We'll get into that tomorrow. But Zhenya, you're spot on tonight with the analysis there of the issues. I want to move on to the next one. We were talking about this a couple of days ago, and now Zelensky came out last night and he says anybody he made two speeches last night. The first one, his normal evening update, and then a couple of hours later, he came back very angry. And that was when Kyiv was being struck and residential buildings were being struck. And he was angry, and he made this statement. He says, it's not just the pilots flying the bombers. It's not just the guy pulling the trigger on the shelling. But if you work in this infrastructure, if you support the destruction of Ukraine in any way, you're a janitor at the building, this is what Zelensky said, we will hunt you down and you will be held accountable. So he was very angry last night. His eyes, you could see it. It was a great speech. But we have the documentation here now showing what we talked about a couple of days ago. The Russian military is using Belarusian airspace all the time now. We also know that it's confirmed, of course, Black Sea. They fire from the Black Sea. They fire from the Caspian Sea. They fire from Kherson, where they have occupied. They're using Belarusian airspace. And Zelensky was very clear. If you are assisting Russia in this, you're guilty. Therefore, I'm sorry, Belarus is guilty. You're guilty. And we know Putin's pushing more weapons there. And just today, just a couple of hours ago, I saw the update where out of Minsk, they were shipping a train load, 20 wagons full of munitions to Kharkiv and to the eastern regions for reinforcement. So, Jacob, I got news for you. Belarus is getting more active every day.
Yes, they preparing themselves, say, the special training for paratroopers in Belarus at this moment, for special small teams for like a Spiceland, and for we call them the DRG. It's diversion and groups. And yes, sure, they were calculating it and the time, and they were putting, like drop by drop of that poison to make people, okay, it's okay. They were just dropped one news about possible aggression and they were checking their own nation, and if nation were quiet or like just a little bit shouting, okay, then okay, they gave them a time. And it's the same, they were preparing. Yes, the Belarusia is openly support, and you probably heard the Lukashenko's super speech.
Yeah, we call him Grandpa Dedushka Lukashenko, the president. He just wants to be important, but he made a statement today. I'll let you share it with everybody. What did he say?
Okay, he said, I do promise to Belarusians that in the next 2 years, the Minsk will become a capital city of United States. You may check it.
I know it. I'm just not in my studio. I'm on the road where I can put the transcriptions in with all my software right now with the translations. It's much more difficult on the road, or I would have shown it, but that is exactly what he said. I've seen the video. Now listen here.
Medicine he using, I don't know.
But here's the deal. It's like you said, Russia massaged Belarus into this war. It's taken 4
Yeah.
months, but Belarus is openly supporting this war now. There's no other way to look at it. And when you say, well, that's just mad talk, it's crazy talk. Of course it's crazy talk. Minsk will not be the capital of the United States. However, this is not some person on a radio broadcast in Minsk. This is the president of Belarus making ridiculous statements. Why ridiculous? Because you've already answered it. When we can talk crazy talk, then when we bring in the small layer by layer, we can then build the story, build the propaganda, and continue to support Russia.
I want to enter one thing.
Please do.
During all of this time, and before it, I want to add this. I would say the government and let's say own investigation services of the countries like United States or Germany or United Kingdom or France or Italy, they know quite enough what kind of people are requesting and applying for visas from Russia. So, understanding that, if during all of this time and still now, countries like this are giving visa, which is welcoming to travel, to visit,
Exactly.
and to
This-
in their countries, and their relatives, kids, and closest friends of people, of commanders, of business people who will start still representing Russian interest and Russian position as aggressor. Why it's not cancelled? All of these visas. Why it's still in process? Why it's not stopped or even just being on a pause? No, it's still there. We just don't like to talk about it, but it's still there.
But listen, here's what you're doing. You're setting the hook for people to come tomorrow night, because that's what we're talking about. I think it was Sherlock Holmes in his mysteries, or maybe, I'm not sure, but he would say, something's afoot. There's something going on here, because this is too black and white for all the gray that we're seeing. This is not 1 week. This is not 2 weeks. This is 124 days. And murder, genocide, evil, and there is not the response that there should be. Maybe this is why this is happening now. NATO is boosting their troops along the borders from 40,000 to 300,000. That was released by NATO today. Once again, I'm going to make the same statement. Something is going on. Brother, that's like 8 times, 7.5 times. They're increasing the amount of troops. So we will follow it. We'll see what's happening. I want to give you this one here, and we'll be closing up here in just a moment. We're going to talk about 2 main things to end out. First, I want to look at the explosions symbols. I hate to have them on the map, but we have to. You've got Kyiv, you've got Chernihiv, you've got Sumy. What's interesting for me there, Zhenya, when the war began, we were coming in from the north and coming in from the southeast, and then withdrew. All the stories of Bucha and Irpin and Gostomel and all these places came out. Chernihiv, the evil that was happening there. All of that happened. Then they left. Now, we called it. They're coming back. Once again, the shelling. Once again, the missile strikes. This was absolutely calculated. Then you rotate around. You've got Kharkiv, of course, all the battles that are happening there in the east, in Lysychansk, and finally down south with Odessa and Mykolaiv. So that's the current updates of where have been hit. We're going to talk about a couple of last things. If you look at the green arrow there, that is the Transnistria region, and those that watch this program, they know about that. There are Russian soldiers there. That is an occupied Russian territory, strip of land between Moldova and Ukraine. President Zelensky came out and made a very pointed statement. As I understood it, he said, "Be warned, Transnistria, people of that region, if you slap us, we will slap you. If you strike us, we're going to strike you." So Zelensky has made a very direct warning to Transnistria.
He said in Ukrainian it sounded a little bit other way.
Okay.
It was like, if you will slap our face, then we will answer you, but not the slapping your face, but smashing your face.
Okay.
So this is a big difference.
So the real translation is Transnistria, if you slap us in the face, we're going to punch you in the face.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He
So-
said it. It was emphasized. It will be not the same kind of answer. You will slap comparing to your step. We will smash you.
Once again, here is a change. Zelensky being aggressive. Move over to the blue arrow. We've talked about it. We continue to talk about it. Mariupol is in trouble. It's occupied, but it's Ukrainians there, and they're starving. They have no water. There's disease running rampant. You know, you sent me this clip a few minutes ago. I'll play it now, and you know, it speaks for itself. Now everyone thinks, and you know, that's a mud puddle. It's not a mud puddle. It's, you want to explain what we saw there? How are people getting water in Mariupol?
Okay, to take water, they had to make a long distance, you know, to walk somewhere, and then let's say this new responsible rulers, they started to supply the water. So you will not find that water in houses and homes, but because they've been destroyed everything. So when they started to supply, people were happy even with that, because it made a little bit shorter the distance. But the reality is what we just seen.
The reality
People
is that,
are
well, just putting it into common English,
happy to have this water.
happy to get water out of the street, and it's not a mud puddle. So what has happened is, folks, Mariupol, and it's not just Mariupol, all these cities has been shelled and struck so hard that all of the infrastructure is destroyed. So when Russia comes in and tries to repump water through the plumbing system of the city, everything is destroyed. So water just comes up through the ground into the streets, into old potholes or whatever, and people are happy. They don't have to walk 5 miles to get 10 liters off of a truck. It's just coming up in the ground out of these systems through, listen, brother, through the ground that is contaminated with the shelling. It's evil. Man, Mariupol's so beautiful.
People have no choice. And I've just heard a lot of stories from people from Berdyansk, which was originally had population about 1,000 people.
Right.
And when the neighbor city of Mariupol, more than 500,000, started to flee, all of them, first place they got in was Berdiansk. So maybe other day I will share
Okay.
all of this, I mean, part of that stories. But you can just imagine how it looked like a small place which wasn't destroyed had to receive 3 times more refugees or 2 times more refugees than it had.
And Jacob, you know, whether it's Berdyansk or Mariupol, you know, guys, as you watch this stream, you just need to understand these are not Stone Age cities. These are modern, beautiful places. I mean, Mariupol is a seaport, a beautiful place for vacations, and
Yes.
and it's destroyed. All right, let's go to the last one for tonight. And I know everyone has seen this on the news. You were coming here tonight to get our update, and unfortunately, we have to share with you some information about the city of Kremenchuk. There it is. Let me pull it up with this way with us both here. That's Kremenchuk. That's on the river there. It's in the Poltava Oblast. And Zhenya, today a military target was struck by Russia. It probably the most important military target in Kremenchuk, which is a shopping mall and a grocery store full of grandparents, adults, children trying to buy groceries or maybe get some clothes. I mean, brother, you don't miss and hit this mall. This mall, 10,000 square meters. So for those of you in America, that would be 108,000 square feet. It is tremendously large. President Zelensky said the occupants fired missiles at a shopping mall with over 1,000 civilians inside. The mall is on fire. It's not possible to count the number of victims yet. The numbers will just increase. There was no danger to the Russian army. There is no strategic value. This was just people trying to buy a piece of meat. Russia continues to show its weakness by destroying our citizens and not our military. It is useless now to hope for any humanity or negotiations on their part. It's over. Kremenchuk.
Yes. You can find much more media materials, the videos from inside and outside, what has happening, how
Okay.
people were looking there.
Pause. Let's roll it, and then you can give the final comment.
Yes.
Here you go. I've got it ready.
Наши спасатели работают прямо сейчас, разбирая обломки завалов, которые организовали после удара российской крылатой ракеты по военному супермаркету «Амстор». Вот посмотрите, во что он превратился теперь. Я сейчас внутри супермаркета, спасатели пытаются найти из-под завалов рухнувшей крыши выживших людей. Ведутся интенсивные работы для того, чтобы попытаться спасти хоть кого-то из женщин, детей, стариков, кто просто пришел покупать продукты. Пережался рука! Подтягивайте!
And there you have it, Jacob. I'll make this statement for Americans or other nationalities to understand. Just imagine you're at a shopping mall with your children and you're there to buy tennis shoes. And the next thing you know, the building is destroyed and you're under debris with it on fire. Imagine you're there, it's summertime and grandparents have the grandkids with them. And, let's go to the supermarket. Let's get a cake and come home. And they're buying cake. And the next thing you know, they're in a ball of fire under concrete. Folks, that is what happened today. Over 1,000 civilians in Kremenchuk. Zhenya, you're Ukrainian. Your thought?
Exactly. Like the father like me went there with kids to buy ice cream or medicine or food, and then the Russian are coming, and then, for example, someone like my daughter looking for mama or papa,
Mm-hmm.
there,
Yes.
the people are like shouting, "Hey, is there any alive, still alive? Please make a sound. Maybe we can help you." And this is what has happened. So, what kind of own economical interest you can talk about the representative of the country if your president saying like this? This is Ukrainian territory. This is shopping mall, and how terrible it sounds. How any Ukrainian can listen you the ideas of having own economic interest if it would happen in Turkey or Germany, and you would hear from Ukraine the comment, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's a sad. We will be forever friends with that country whose kids are dying, and yes, it's unfair, but you see, we think about economic interest. It's a bad, okay, it's a bad example about Ukraine. But if the United States would comment like this about Turkey,
Yep.
that we can help you, but we have own economic interest. We have
Unfortunately,
own economic interest, and yes, it's so sad. But maybe this is why we will help the occupants to sell the grain we got from you or your technique to some
unfortunately.
other countries, because there's a lot of people in the world, not just you.
Yeah, and Zhenya, I watched a video even from Kiev yesterday when people were screaming out from under the rubble, and the rescuers were risking their lives, climbing through all the concrete. And brother, let me just ask you this, and we'll close. It speaks for itself. It's unbelievable, but how many of these type events have to happen before the world increases its response? And I know we're going to hit that tomorrow. These are some of the things we're talking about. But brother, a shopping mall got leveled today with 1,000 people inside, not soldiers.
Okay, I don't know how many.
Right.
I would say it probably will depend of how people will share the reality and the truth. Because at this moment, in Russia and Russia media showing kind of smoke and comment, "Oh, we hit a military structure in Kiev and a military structure in some some station in Kremenchuk," and a lot of it's not just in Russia. People are gladly share this fake news in English and other languages. This is why it's so important to share the truth. And but before we will end, I want to share good thing. The 4 days ago,
Before you share the good thing, when I played that video clip and it was going very quickly, you could read it, I could read it, but there was a portion of it where it showed all the messages that were coming out of Russia, where it said,
yes,
Great job, that was a beautiful strike.
we need more.
We need more of it." That's what it was saying in the Russian language. So this is exactly what Zhenya's talking about. All right, my friend, let's go to your good news, and let's try to put a smile on somebody's face tonight as we close out.
Just 4 days ago, we are, I mean, you and your side and our group together, because we're using money, we're collecting. We sent 4 days ago a full car of the help to Kremen people. 4 days ago, and this is we sent. and
Where-
I'm happy we're doing it, and we
Where
will
was it
continue
going?
to do.
Where?
To Kremenchuk 4 days ago.
4 days
Kremenchuk.
ago, we sent support to Kremenchuk, and Kremenchuk is the city that was hit today. We're doing our best to make a difference, buddy.
Yes,
We will keep
it's
telling the
in
truth.
need there.
Hey, people ask me, and we'll close with this and tell everybody good night, but people ask me all the time, bro, why? How can you keep doing this? Because, it's 124 days straight. Take a break one day. If something happens and I get sick and have to take a break one day, Zhenya, you're going to do the video because we're going to be consistent. Even if it's a 15-minute update. Why? Because, bro, listen, people don't get it. I'm not a doomsdayer, but there's something crazy going on here, and there's no way we can't tell the truth. We must tell the truth. We are compelled to tell the truth, and we're going to keep telling it. So, be ready. We're in this for the long haul. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you for support. And here is.
In 2 days, I'll have the sound effects. And listen, man, don't be crying when I make passionate speeches like that. You got me messed up. All right, buddy. We love you, and we'll hey guys, y'all better be ready for tomorrow night because you are going to hear something probably going to blow you away. All of you guys, be blessed. Zhenya, we don't have to tell them good night tonight because I've got it ready to roll, and here we go. Peace to you and peace to Ukraine.
Okay. You first.
No, I'm first. A good night to all.
To all, a good night.